Welcome to this explainer. We're going to kick things off today with a mystery that genuinely still gives scientists the chills. Okay, picture this. It's the year 1997. Deep, deep in the ocean, a sensor picks up this incredibly eerie, ultra-low frequency sound. And get this, it was captured from a staggering 1,000 kilometers away. Researchers analyzed this audio to death, and their conclusion was honestly kind of terrifying. They found that no known creature in the deep sea could have possibly produced it. It was completely alien to everything we understand about marine biology. So where did it come from? I mean, could there really be massive, undiscovered creatures down there? We're talking things maybe 100 times larger than a human, just making sounds we've never even recorded before? Okay, let's dive into this. Because the sheer scale of our ignorance is pretty mind-blowing. We live in this era of hyper-advanced technology, right? We've got space stations, we've got artificial intelligence, but humanity has explored a measly 5% of our own oceans. That means a massive 95% of it is just completely uncharted, unexplored territory. We are virtually blind to the vast majority of our own planet. And that immense, dark unknown is exactly what fuels the legends. If you hop on Google Maps right now and scan the South Atlantic Ocean, some people claim you can spot this bizarre, monstrous shape just lurking near the surface. It sparked intense debate online, with folks even linking it to the myth of the Leviathan, the ancient sea monster that's supposedly been hiding in the depths for thousands of years. But hey, when we only understand 5% of the ocean, who's to say these are just fairy tales?
Section 1. Unsolved Deep Sea Mysteries.
Now, what's really interesting about all this is that to truly understand these mysteries, and honestly to make sense of modern tragedies like the heartbreaking 2023 OceanGate implosion, we first have to wrap our heads around the terrifying scale of the deep ocean. Think about the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. If you flipped it upside down and dropped it into the sea, it wouldn't even come close to the bottom. Let's go bigger. Take Mount Everest, the highest peak on Earth. Plunge that into the ocean and the water would still easily cover the peak. Even if you stacked the Burj Khalifa on top of Mount Everest and dropped them both in, you still wouldn't touch the absolute bottom. It is just infinitely deeper than our brains can easily conceptualize.
And out of these staggering depths, sometimes things come up to warn us. Take the oarfish, for example. This is a highly unusual creature that actually generates its own electricity. But what's deeply unsettling is its habit of surfacing right before major seismic disasters. Like in 2011, right before the devastating Japan earthquake and tsunami, oarfish were washing up on beaches. In California, they popped up just 2 days before a major quake. And then again in February 2025 in Mexico, an oarfish was caught on video just lingering at the surface, refusing to go back down, mere days before a dangerous earthquake struck. It really seems like these deep sea dwellers know things about our planet long before we do.
Moving on to Section 2, the 5 scary ocean zones. To understand how anything survives down there, we're going to take a simulated submarine descent right now. Skipping past the familiar sunlight zone at the top, we are plunging directly into the dark, the twilight zone. This ranges from 200 to 1,000 meters deep. As you can probably guess, sunlight is rapidly fading out here, which means marine plants simply cannot exist. To survive, creatures have to be highly specialized. This is exactly where you'd find our friend the oarfish, relying on its own biological tools and staying highly sensitive to the Earth's movements below. But the twilight zone is also home to the real giants. Here you'll find the sperm whale, an absolute behemoth weighing up to 5,000 kilograms and possessing the largest brain of any creature on Earth. Then there's the colossal squid. It weighs as much as a car and has the largest eyes in the world. We are literally talking the size of dinner plates, perfectly designed to catch whatever tiny, faint glimmers of light are left. And perhaps the strangest of all is the siphonophore. It looks like a massive floating ribbon, but it's actually a colony of tiny organisms linking together. They form a structure that can grow larger than 2 or 3 blue whales combined. Just incredible.
All right, let's keep dropping. We are now between 1,000 and 4,000 meters down. Welcome to the midnight zone. Sunlight is completely gone. It is pitch black. And this desolate, freezing environment is exactly where the wreckage of the Titanic lies resting today.
Now, the physics of the deep really start to turn hostile here. The pressure in the midnight zone is 380 times higher than at the surface. That is enough force to instantly crush human bones into dust. Because energy is so incredibly scarce in the pitch black, and the pressure is so immense, the creatures that live here move very, very slowly, just to conserve whatever energy they can. And this brilliantly illustrates how evolution just runs completely wild in the dark. The adaptations are beyond bizarre. You got the anglerfish using a glowing bioluminescent lure on its head to attract prey. And strangely enough, the tiny males of this species actually fuse into the females, living and eventually dying inside them. Then you have the bear-like fish, which boasts a completely transparent head and eyes that can rotate 360 degrees to spot predators. And we can't forget the black swallower. This fish is so ravenous it can swallow prey 3 to 4 times its own size. In fact, it sometimes dies simply because it swallows creatures way too massive to actually digest. Down we go again into the abyss zone, between 4,000 and 6,000 meters. We are now entering a near-alien world. Human scientists have barely scratched the surface of discovering what actually lives down here, but the things we have found are staggering. In the abyss, you'll spot the Dumbo octopus, using these cute ear-like fins to gracefully navigate the dark. But don't let that fool you. The environment itself is a deadly trap. This zone features brine pools, which are literally underwater lakes so densely packed with toxic salt that if a creature accidentally swims into one, it dies instantly. You've also got hydrothermal vents. These are deep-sea volcanoes blasting out water heated to a scorching 400 degrees Celsius. It's a world of absolute extremes. Finally, we reach the absolute bottom, the trenches, stretching from 6,000 all the way down to 11,000 meters. Surviving here requires discarding biology as we know it. Take the snailfish, for instance. It lives down here and has evolved to have absolutely no bones at all. Why? Because any bones would be instantly pulverized by the environment. I want you to really let this sink in for a second. The pressure in the trenches is equivalent to having 1,800 elephants resting their entire weight on a single human being. That is the unimaginable, deeply hostile reality of the ocean floor. It's a crushing, merciless world. Section 3. Why is exploration so difficult? So, witnessing all these biological wonders, we really have to ask the harsh engineering question: why is our advanced technology failing us down here? Well, it comes down to 3 core reasons. First, that unimaginable pressure we just talked about. Second, the incredibly dynamic environment. Down there, temperatures can change in a flash, underwater volcanoes erupt totally without warning, and even magnetic fields shift around, which just destroys our navigation systems. And third, the vast unknown of deep-sea predators. Life literally originated in these oceans from volcanic minerals forming cells. We have zero idea what ancient, massive life forms might still be lurking just out of sight. But let's look a bit closer at that first point, pressure, because it leads to a terrifying phenomenon called an implosion. An implosion is a violent, instantaneous inward collapse. To ground this physics in a real-world event, this is exactly what happened during the tragic OceanGate disaster in 2023. A submarine carrying tourists down to the Titanic lost its signal after about an hour and a half, only for the debris to be found days later. So the crucial point is how the materials themselves failed under that stress. You see, the OceanGate submarine was constructed using carbon fiber with titanium joints. As that extreme deep-sea pressure was applied, the carbon fiber and the titanium reacted and compressed in completely different ways. This tiny discrepancy caused a miniature crack to develop, and down there, a tiny crack is all it takes. In mere milliseconds, the immense external pressure rushed in, causing an instantaneous and catastrophic implosion, completely destroying the vessel in a fraction of a second. Section 4. Why do creatures surface? All right, let's begin our ascent back to the surface. As we come back up to the sunlight and the world we know, we need to address a pretty disturbing trend. Why are these elusive deep-sea creatures suddenly appearing on our shallow beaches? Well, as we noted earlier, sometimes they are fleeing shifting tectonic plates, escaping earthquakes and volcanoes. But the much more sobering reality is that human activity is actively driving them out. Massive human pollution is severely dropping the oxygen levels in the ocean's waters, literally suffocating these animals. On top of that, the invasive noise and harmful vibrations from commercial deep-sea mining are destroying their isolated, perfectly balanced ecosystems. Which leaves us with a pretty heavy thought to end this explainer on. We look at the dark water and we imagine leviathans. We fear the terrifying, bone-crushing monsters lurking in the deep. But when we look at the pollution, the mining, and the destruction of the very origins of life on Earth, are we the real monsters? Are we the ultimate threat to the deep? Thanks so much for joining me on this dive today, and keep questioning what lies beneath.